PCO Cards Postgame shows. They're brought to you in part by Hot Shots, who invites you to come out to their St. Charles location on Sunday, June 1st to celebrate their 35th anniversary. The fun starts at noon with a parking lot party featuring the Budweiser Clydesdales. Also, prizes will be given away all day. There's also a dart tournament at noon, a bags tournament at 2, plus a chance to win Hot Shots tacos for an entire year. Congratulations to Hot Shots on 35 years. Hot Shots, St. Louis's home for all the games, all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Almost as old as I am, Joe. That's not sure I want to be recognized for that point, but welcome into the Cardinals post-game show. I'm Sara Dayley. That's Joe Roderick. The Birds taking a series win in Philly for the first time in 8 years. A final score in the double dipper, the second game, 14-7. Started off looking a little rough, but the Birds came in, hit a couple darts out of the park, and next thing you know, they're up big and don't look back.
Yeah, that was I as you and I were texting during the game, I had to coach 11-year-old baseball practice that got out at about 5:45, and I look at my phone as I'm getting out of there, and I see the score's 5-1, and I'm like, holy shit, what is Sonny Gray doing out there? And I think by the time that I had driven home, I think the Cardinals were up 7-5. So that was how quickly the tables had turned in the game tonight. And the Cardinals, I don't know what it is against aces of teams or supposed aces of teams. Aaron Nola now 1-7 on the season, really struggling for the Phillies. But they're going into these games. You look 2 wins against Skeens. They beat Mackenzie Gore over the weekend. You go out there and you hit Aaron Nola. They're going up there and they are attacking pitchers that are trying to attack you. They hit pitchers, some of the best pitchers in MLB this year or the past few seasons, that are going out there and trying to pound the zone and attack. The Cardinals are giving it right back to them with their approach at the plate.
And as you mentioned, an ace in Nola, but he's now given up 10 home runs and just above 50 innings pitched so far this season. A couple of those clearly off the Birds tonight. But the Cardinals' offensive explosion, the Bats came alive with 14 runs on 19 hits, which is huge for the Birds. The offensive surge was a stark contrast to what they saw in the first game. But again, this is the thing the Cardinals do. They go up, they go down. It's kind of that roller coaster ride. If they could just figure out a nice, consistent, higher playing level and just stay up there, they'd be on a really good ride.
You're seeing, you are starting to see glimpses of what this offense, what this entire team can look like. We're how many times through the rotation are we now where we're getting solid starts out of a majority of these pitchers? Sonny Gray today, terrible first inning, but he fought and labored through to at least limit some of the bullpen usage in a doubleheader today. Eric Fetty was outstanding in the first game. Matthew Libator, good again on Monday. I mean, we're going multiple times now through the rotation, and it almost seems like it took him, 6 weeks, 7 weeks into the season to figure out who they have confidence in now in their bullpen. And it seemed like it was lost in JoJo Romero. It seems like it's back now in JoJo Romero. It seems like he has worked his way back into that circle of trust, if you will, of the bullpen of the guys that you're going to go to. And against a team like the Phillies, you need those lefties in there. And I don't care what the splits say against Schwarber, against Harper this year, and how good they hit lefties from time to time. You still want to go out there and you want to attack them with some of your best left-handed arms if you don't have a guy like Kyle Leahy available to go in there. And that's what it seemed like, by the way. It seemed like Kyle Leahy was just not going to touch a baseball today. In the first game, I thought it would have been perfect to throw him in there in the 6th inning. They went with Matz. Tonight, you didn't see him in there in the 7th inning of the game. So it seemed like they said, hey, you stay far away from baseballs. We'll see you in Kansas City.
Well, you brought up an interesting point, because as you mentioned that you and I were discussing a couple of things during the game, why not put Halsey in? I mean, this is a prime opportunity. What was the strategic move there behind that? I mean, this was just an inning that was already closed. Get him couple pitches in there and just let him close it out.
Well, I will tell you this because I was having the same discussion with you that I was having with Brendan Schaefer, who I will read the text here because he's not on the post game. He called me, quote, a dummy. And I don't know if he's watching right now or not. If he is, I'm sure he'll chime in the chat at some point. But he disagrees with you and I as far as the usage of Ryan Helsley. I looked it up last year at this point. Helsley, by far his best season ever. As a major league pitcher, by May 14th of last year, he had thrown 20 times. He had appeared in 20 games by this point. Right now, you're looking at only 15 on the season. And there have been a handful of opportunities, it feels like, that they have said, you know what, we're up by too much. We're not going to go to him. And then you just, then it's like, we'll save him for next time. Well, then that next time ends up being 3-4 games down the line. And then you get into a situation where you look at it and you're like, well, shit, now I have to throw him in this game. He's throwing in the 9th inning, no matter or the 8th inning, no matter what, because we need to get him working a game. He had a very efficient outing on Monday nights. You had yesterday off. He didn't pitch for you in game 1 because you lost.
Right.
He should have been, you're off tomorrow. He should have been in there pitching tonight. He was up in the bullpen. He was getting loose. It seemed like, by all accounts, they were going to go to him. Tonight was a night that Ryan Helsley should have been pitching for you. I don't care that it's 7 runs. I don't care that Matt
Just
Swanson,
get him in. Get him some work.
I don't care that Matt Swanson was the 27th man and made the trip from Memphis and you got him in the game. Go in there and get the 3 outs. Matt Swanson, though, looked really, really good today, too. Not taking anything away from him, going in there and striking out the side. But if we're going to sit here and we're going to believe that this is a team that can make it to the playoffs, that can be that if this is how good they're going to be, the last 2-week stretch that we've seen is what this team is. I haven't looked. I know the Cubs were losing to the Marlins at last check. That game should be over right now, middle of the ninth. So they're going into the bottom of the 9th. Miami with a 2-run lead. That didn't work out well for them last night, but I'll look at that. But the Cubs, the Cardinals could very well be 1 game back now of the NL Central and right there in the wild card mix. If we're going to sit here and say that's the case, then one of the arguments that Brendan Schaefer made to me after calling me a dummy was that Ryan Helsley's not going to be on this team in August. Are the Cardinals really going to sell at the trade deadline?
Who else are they going to go to? Like that, you really don't have any other options for his position and what his role is right now. I mean, you're trying to still figure out the rest of your mid relievers / longer bullpen arms. Like, you have someone who's solid in his position, like, keep with what's working and move on and develop from there. Did he use the word dummy? I'm curious. Or was that?
Yeah. No. He said you're a dummy. That's those are the first words he wrote in the text was you're a dummy. So that he used those exact words. Correct. Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I was thinking you were being a little censored for the show or whatever.
No. I will read word for word. I don't want to misquote him at all. Yeah.
Well, let's also talk about a couple of other things for the Cardinals. Clearly come back after an early deficit, but the Phillies bullpen unable to halt the Cardinals' momentum. And Mason Winn, his all-around performance tonight was absolutely fantastic. I mean, he had 4 for 5 with the home run, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. He just keeps contributing. Where pivotal points in the game really need those contributions, and he's sustaining some offensive moments. I mean, a lot of times you turn around at a game and you're like, well, yeah, even if they lost, Mason Winn still did this. Mason Winn still did this. So we're starting to see that pivot from him, and it's not that it wasn't expected. It was just a matter of when, right?
Yeah. And I saw this I looked this up the other day. Since moving to the 2 slot, since moving to that number 2 spot in the order, OPS somewhere, this was around before Monday's game, around 978, something like that, when they moved him up there shortly after he came back from the injured list. And I've talked about this on a few shows that the Cardinals have struggled all season. I think even last year too, when you look at how much Paul Goldschmidt was struggling, they really have been fighting to find somebody that fits that number 2 slot in the batting order. And Mason Winn was supposed to be your leadoff hitter and had a horrible spring training, dropped him down to 9. And now we're seeing, okay, they're starting to get the confidence back in him. They put him there because they needed somebody. They were toying with it so much they put Ivan Herrera in there before he got hurt to see what that would look like. And now you have him up there, and you have these sections of the lineup now where you go at some. I mean, you have that Victor Scott, Lars Nootbaar, Mason Winn trio in the lineup of 9-1-2. That can be a lot of fun to watch. And you saw tonight what that was able to do with Victor Scott getting on, stealing second, sack fly, gets him over to third. Mason Winn drives him in. Mason Winn comes a few feet from hitting a home run pitch prior, but Mason Winn drives him in. And you see the manufacturing of runs on a team that tonight hit a lot of home runs, but throughout the season really hasn't.
Right. So a lot of people commenting on the positions, what we were talking about with some of the closers and what exactly they need to do. But Nick Jensen is talking to Brian in the chat, and he says there's a 0% chance that Helsley gets extended. Brian Quinn said Leahy's looking like a contender. So again, you kind of touched back on that. But at the end of the day, come July, like, you do need an option, right? What if something happens? You can't just have one arm out there that you have to go to all the time. So having a couple options is a good move. But again, I still think that that Helsley is someone you stick with and put confidence in and make sure that he just maintains what he has right now.
Where are we with Helsley right now? I have to look. I know he was in arbitration with this. I'm quickly looking here. Earliest free agency 2026. So signed through. Okay. So yeah, this is his last year before you have to figure out what you're going to. Again, what is extending him look like? Again, and if you are in contention, you're not trading away your closer.
Right.
Unless you absolutely love what you have out of Phil Maton, who again is 1-year deal, or Kyle Leahy or something like that. It's just not going to happen unless the haul you get back is something that is also going to help you make a run for it. I'm trying to look. If you think a few years ago, if you remember, the Brewers were in contention when they traded Josh Hader to the Padres, and they had Devin Williams. They had other guys there that they thought could close.
Right.
But yeah, it fell off real quick. So it's something that you've seen happen. But also too, I mean, Nick Jensen say Helsley $100 million plus. He's a closer. No team's giving him $100 million plus anyway. So that's not going to happen. If that's what he wants, great. Go, have at it. Go find that somewhere else.
Pushing daisies. That's pretty comical there. It says, I say they sign Helsley to a subscription contract month to month. Pay as you go. So pay for the month, and you can cancel opt out early, and then you got to finish out the month for whatever we paid you for.
Yeah, but again, it's just it's nothing that he's done wrong. I just want to see him pitch more. I've wanted to see him used in more opportunities for that. So it's that's where my frustration, I guess, lands with everything that I saw today. That's where the frustration is with that.
Absolutely. Well, let's touch on Alec Burleson. He had a big game as well. He went 3 for 5 with a home run, 4 ribbies. His performance clearly helping the Birds extend their lead, putting the game out of reach for Phillies. This is a guy that even when things were really, really rough for the Birds, was still a shining moment. I mean, he was still swinging the bat really well, still contributing. He's really had a great start to the year, I think. I mean, if this continues throughout the whole year, like, he's going to be a definite prize possession of the Birds.
Yeah, that's one where his role is one where you kind of wonder what happens now that Ivan Herrera is back. Because if Ivan Herrera, who caught today and looked fine behind the plate, I know, again, he's defensively, he's not what Pages brings you, but you're going to find ways to keep his bat in the lineup each and every day. If you are looking at where everybody kind of falls into place right now, Alec Burleson, unfortunately, is that odd man out with this, because you're not going to find room for him in the outfield. You seem to have Donovan or Gorman at second base now. So, Burleson is going to play first base, with Contreras DHs. And it's one of those, is Jordan Walker's glove now become so good that you're going to sit through all the struggles that he might be having at the plate to let him go out there and play right field? Because it doesn't seem like the Cardinals want to play Alec Burleson in right field either.
Well, and also Gorman. I mean, that's a good. I mean, I know we've got him, but if he's not coming alive, like, where are you going to shift some of that to, like, move those parts to? I mean, you've got to play guys you can't bench guys that are producing. I mean, that's just, what are you going to do at that point? Like, you just can't. And especially the position the Cardinals are in, like, they don't have the option to just keep losing. Like, they have to go up from here. So, you do have a couple of moves that need to be made, or a couple of decisions, and that's going to be a tough one to make.
Yeah, I'd have to look where Burleson's played recently, because I know he did start in right field tonight in the game. But I do think that's something now that you have to start toying with a little more. It didn't seem like they wanted to put him out there. You need to put him in right field a little more, and he's not going to hurt you out there. I don't think he or Walker are not going to be these defensive liabilities out in right field. So does it become a platoon now between those two with Herrera back? Is Herrera going to be that? Is he that everyday guy that's going to be sixth in the lineup? And you have that masher now in there in him. So it's, again, these are good problems to have. These are really good problems to have. As you see there, Cubs lost 3-1 to the Marlins tonight. So Cardinals now just one game back in the NL Central. It's May 14th. I know maybe we shouldn't be scoreboard watching yet, but you kind of, it's fun when you go on this little run that they're on, and everybody wanted to talk about how great the Cubs were during the first month of the season, and the Cardinals are right there with them.
They're a Chicago team. That's all I'm going to say. They're a Chicago team. So
one month away, 1 month from Flag Day, by the way. That's when apparently we're supposed to start paying attention to the standings due to per claims.
Well, officially, what season is underway is baseball, and that's the middle of the season that we're in right now, or towards the middle of the season. It's officially underway, and time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
I want to go over this Ghostface post about Herrera, that he sucks behind the plate. Again, at no point, I know it was a big point of contention at spring training this year, how he went to that driveline camp or that driveline facility to work on his catching, to work on his throwing. And when you look at it, you're sitting there and you're going, you made it to the major leagues. You're 24. I get but you made it to the major leagues without all of this work and somebody kind of going through and showing you how to throw down to second or how to do all of this. And the reason is, when you can hit, they'll find places to put you and they'll kind of overlook your defense.
Right.
If you hit baseballs the way Ivan Herrera does, they'll just go, okay, hey, you're going to give up a run per game behind the plate. That's fine. You're going to drive in 2. Like, we'll take it. And it's still a net positive. So you kind of, you get by with that. And that's the way I think it's going to be the remainder of this year. I mean, Pages has shown that he can handle things behind the plate. Herrera will go back there for you. If it's 2-3 times a week that Herrera is going to catch for you, I think that's fine. Let him DH the other 4 times a week.
I mean, you have 3, possibly 4 catchers on the team. Like, if it really comes down to like absolutely nothing else, you've already got guys that can be there for you behind the plate if you really, really have to push the limit, which I don't think there's ever been a situation where a team's really had that many catchers that could, I mean, if you count Contreras, like, if push comes to shove, you lose all 3 catchers, you got somebody that can throw in some gear. But I don't recall a team ever carrying that many catchers, and decent catchers at that can also, produce at the plate.
No, I'm just, trying to think back. You have last year, I know the Mariners kind of had a 2 catcher deal with 1 DHing, 1, I think, playing, behind the plate every game. I think I could be wrong on that, but just, think back to how many catchers we've seen in baseball that, hit the way that Herrera does on a daily basis to start the season, and kind of going, then, I mean, when you look at the fact that, Contreras getting moved to first base and a de facto catcher, if you will, it puts them in a really unique situation that recent history, I can't think of it either.
Yeah, well, especially behind Yadi. I mean, you really didn't have many. What were you going to do? He was going to be your all-time go-to every time guy. So touching back on Sonny Gray, however, I heard a comment today during the broadcast tonight, rather, that one of the guys was talking about Todd Stottlemyre, former Cardinal pitcher. And he said, it doesn't matter what the score is. It has to be 0-0 in my mind to pitch right. Now, when Sonny got blasted that first inning, that was the mentality or the approach that he was saying as a pitcher you have to have. And I thought that was very interesting. So we always talking about reset. It's pitch by pitch. I mean, one swing of the bat, the game changes in a tight game or a close game. Granted, we were down by 4 runs after the first inning, 5 runs maybe. But for Sonny to collectively kind of get himself back together and the Cardinals to produce runs, that has to be a little bit of a help for what was a really rocky start, and some confidence for the Cardinals that maybe things can go a little bit further than we thought at the beginning. He did continue to give us some innings, like you said, and we didn't chew up the entire bullpen for the rest of the game.
No, and he is a guy that has shown a few times that he has that ability to hit that reset button. You remember the story last year where he had a bad inning. He went into the clubhouse, stripped completely naked, put on just from head to toe, put on a new uniform and went back out. He's a different cat. If you talk to him and if you watch the way that he goes about his business at spring training before a game, it is so particular what he is out there to do. And I mentioned it this morning. I think that's why you saw him in the night game tonight. That's why you saw Fetty go in the afternoon and Gray at night, because I would imagine that Sonny Gray wanted to treat today like a normal night game, even though he was supposed to pitch this afternoon anyway, or I guess he was supposed to pitch last night. He wanted to be in the mindset of what his day would look like for that. And you've talked to, these guys have their routines.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is.
Some of the routines. Yeah. Some of the guys on the road that would catch a flight home the night before just to be in their beds, or they would make sure they get to a park at a certain time. They always get to park at a certain time, but they had like a actual time that they weren't there.
It would not surprise me if Sonny Gray was not in the dugout or not in the clubhouse today for game 1 or the start of game 1. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if he just kind of rolled in there at his own time. But you talk, some of these guys, if their socks aren't laid out the right way, or if their toast is made at a 4 instead of a 3, that's forget it. You're done. It's over with some of these guys that just have everything go completely right for them. But Sonny Gray has shown that he can hit that reset button in that moment. And I think that's what we saw tonight.
Brian Quinn's talking back to Ghostface Gaming. He said, from what I've seen so far, Pozo looks almost as good as Pedro and is much better. Don't get me wrong. I love Pages behind the plate. So again, we have options, but people do like certain aspects of all these catchers. And certain pitchers like to throw to certain guys too, as well. Let's not get past that point either. There's a comfortability factor there sometimes that a pitcher really likes working with a certain guy or things like that. And when you have these options, then you have a couple of options to throw those guys out there.
And we saw, I think you're starting to see too, you saw for most, since the beginning of April, since Pozo's been up here, every single start that Libator started, Pozo was back there until Monday. Then they put Pages back there. And I think a lot of times we've seen Pages catch Sonny Gray. Tonight we saw Herrera catch Sonny Gray. So I do think that the Cardinals, it's more of a case of, hey, this guy might not be here every single game this season. Other guys have to catch you too. And you kind of play around with that. And you toy around with that just a little bit. But no, you see it all the time that you have your catchers. And up until this past week, I really thought that, Pozo was Libator's guy. And now they're kind of toying with it. And I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that you probably cannot get by with holding 3 catchers all season. There's going to come
something's going to have to happen.
There's going to come a point where you might look at things and you say, you know what? We need to, Fermin needs to come up for some reason or another, or Siani has to come up. And Pozo's probably going to be that first guy to go down if that's the case. If it's a non-injury related move that you make, that he's probably the one that's heading back to Memphis before anybody else.
So tonight, the final score, if you're just joining us, 14-7, the Birds beat the Phillies. First series sweep in Philly against the
series win.
Sorry, I did 2 out of 3 in 8 years, which is good. Day off tomorrow in Kansas City, and then they come back home, and the Tigers will be in town. That's going to be a pretty good series and a good test for the Birds.
Tigers are one of the best teams right now in the best team, I should say, in the American League by a few games now, 28-15 on the season. I have not looked far enough ahead at the pitching matchups for that. I'm really hoping that Tariq Skubal gets to pitch in that series in St. Louis. That's one where, again, a 3-series road trip with a team this hot. You're coming back. It's the last week of a lot of kids being in school, that the attendance still might not be great next week, especially with the Tigers and the Diamondbacks, 2 teams that you hear the names and you don't think, oh, I got to get out to the stadium. If Tariq Skubal's pitching, 30,000 should be in attendance for that game, watching that guy pitch.
There were 30,000 in attendance last night, by the way, at least. I was at Busch, but it wasn't for a Cardinal game. I don't
think Jelly Roll can throw a baseball the way Tariq Skubal can, but
no. The place was packed. It was absolutely packed. It was impressive to see, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's one, again, they're 2 really good teams. They're 2 playoff teams coming in. Very much looking forward to seeing both those teams next week and seeing how the Cardinals do against, and the Royals too. Royals are a playoff team. And they're an exciting team to watch. You are facing a really tough part of your schedule right now, and you just you took 4 out of 6 games this year from the Phillies at home and on the road, and a fairly healthy Phillies team too. You went in there and you beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was in Kansas City a couple weeks ago for youth baseball, and we went to the Royals game. They played the Stros, so it wasn't like it was a hugely entertaining game, but I have to give, just on a side note, I have to give the Royals some props. They've really changed a lot of their fan entertainment, like the stuff out in the center field area of like Royal Stadium and things like that. It was fun. It was a good game. It was a lot of fun, and they're fun to watch. They're a good team. So I'll give a little bit of credit down the road. I'm not going to give them a ton of praise, but it was a nice night. So if anyone's out there, they do need to check them out sometime.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby, you have, again, you Bobby Witt Jr., top 10 player in baseball. Tariq Skubal, probably a top 10 player. Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks, a top 10 guy. I mean, you're seeing some of the best in baseball right now, some of the best players on these teams in baseball. So just keep taking care of business.
I love it. Ghostface Gaming jumping in on my Jelly Roll music. Shabuzi, a new country song with Jelly Roll. It's nice. Yeah, it was a good concert. It was very entertaining. It was Post Malone was interesting. I haven't really been like crazy into his music, but yeah, it was.
Was it all the country stuff last night?
Not all of it. Not all of it.
He's one I have never seen him perform. I have had tickets to many of his shows at Super Bowls, and always went to something else instead.
The only headline, I think last time he was in St. Louis, he fell through his stage. Like he had an issue.
Yeah.
And like
and that was Enterprise, and he just walked
right
through. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he didn't fall through this time. But,
that's good. Yeah, that's good. The only concert I've ever been to at Busch, Ernest fell off the stage. That was the Morgan Wallen concert a few years ago, and Ernest fell off the stage. So it's an issue. It's an epidemic in St. Louis of falling off stages or through stages. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anything else that you want to cover here tonight? I mean, the Cardinals picking up another nice win, like we said. Looking forward to the series against the Royals. The 70 showdown's always a good time. Then they come back and they play Detroit, Arizona here at Busch, and hopefully we'll be 10 games above 500. Maybe is that pushing it?
What are they at right now? It's the record right now is 24-20. Yeah, let's maybe after the Diamondback series. I think that's what you shoot for after that. Yeah, that's 10 games over is that's the next milestone though. But let's pass the Cubs first. I think getting past the Cubs over in the standings, that's the big thing to watch. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's too crazy out of control, but I think they can get there. So let's give them a little push and push the level and make sure that they arise to the occasion.
Yeah. Didn't realize this though. Mason Winn, the only shortstop that hasn't made an error this show.
Oh,
I'll have to go
wow.
back and look at that. I'm just throwing it on the screen blindly.
Yeah,
But something to look at. But no, nothing else. This is my third Cards Hub show of the day, so I'm sure the people watching are sick of seeing my face.
But once again, if you are sick of seeing our faces or not, please subscribe, like our page, hang out with us more. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the comments. Whatever you prefer, your method of communication. But that over there is Joe Roderick. I'm Sara Dayley along for the ride. This is Sports Hub STL's Cards Postgame Show. Once again, brought to you by Hot Shots. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. But don't forget, also in the morning, you have Randy and Brooke on beginning at 10 a.m. So we'll see you, catch you next time.